And then you have the different senses. This word only has one sense, but a word like this one, gloria, has a couple of different senses, firmly and soundly. Where was that word? Okay. Note, if you want to make a note, any kind of comment or something about this language or about this word, you can do that here. If you're not sure, if you come up with a word, you're not sure of its etymology or something like that, you can note that. You can also make a message for yourself. The nice thing about that is you have this option to resolve note. So if you add this note, add this message and say, I need to check etymology or something like that. Click OK. Boom. Now you can see that you have a note here, and then you can resolve it. Or in my case, I kind of would rather delete that altogether, but I don't know if I can do that, and it doesn't matter that much. So then we get into the sense. Actually, one thing I could say about this is this comes from the words vot and dom, and I am still kind of oscillating on whether I want to have things spelled like when I have two consonants together, whether I want it to be like this or drop one consonant, especially if they're in the same place of articulation. So I could make that a note, perhaps, or a message. I'll put it here for now. I don't intend to change this anytime soon, but you never know. Okay, so then I have the sense. If it had another meaning, like lulia, hard and firm, you can have that. If you want to add a meaning, you can click in the sense field and insert sense. And now I have a new sense that I don't know what it would be, but since I'm not going to fill that out, I can also delete it. And again, notice here now we have some extra examples. I can insert an example, find an example sentence, so on and so forth. But I'm going to delete that sense. Okay, and again you have, in the sense, you have the gloss, the definition if you want to spell it out a little bit more firmly, and then the example. Semantic domains, you can connect this to semantic domains. So if I had the vodom, and I wanted to connect that to semantic domains, I could do that. Clicking here, it would probably be under either work and occupation, maybe agriculture, or actually tools, I suppose, is probably what it would be. Cutting tool, carrying tool. So I can make that a semantic domain. And these semantic domains are populated, well, you have the option to use them or not. If you go back to my first blog post, I noted that when you first start a project, there's the option of choosing whether to use the OCS or OCM outline of cultural materials, and that is what includes these semantic domains. So I think there's also anthropological categories in there. So the semantic domains might be there by default, but I think it's the anthropological materials. Sorry, I am mistaken. And then lexical relations. This is interesting. You can note that it's a part or a whole. It's a part, so there's another word, part relation to this whole. There's another word that is a part of this that's a whole. So maybe like for a basket I could have a word for handle or what you actually hold it by. If it's a whole relation to this part, you can do that. Specific relation to this generic, so things like, I don't know, if you had Chevrolet would be a specific relation to the generic truck. truck would be a general relation, generic relation to specific Chevrolet, or whatever it might happen to be. Synonyms, antonyms, calendar. I'm not sure what that does. Let's click on it and see. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what you would use that for. But that's how it goes. Classified noun relation to this classifier, classifier relation to this classified noun. So all of these, depending on your language, it might be useful. You can create a new lexical relation if you think you have something in your language that's not covered by any of these, and you want to do a new one, create your own, you can do that. And then of course you have the standard field visibility and help. Alright, then you have variants. Now let me find a good word that I have some variants for, because Pyode does a lot of stem changing stuff. So maybe let's see, I think I have at least a couple of variants under, yeah, I do, I have all of them. So here's the word ab for sun, and the plural form is av. So what I can do is go in here, and if I insert a variant, it's a variant type, I can insert it. Let me go back maybe to where I was. So yeah, I have, that one doesn't need to be there. Alright, let me delete this variant. But you can see I already have the verbal inflection. I think I have that because I was just editing one of my texts which used it. So there's verbal inflection, but I can insert a new variant. Which is going to be, actually I have some special characters here, so I'm going to copy and paste that. And then I'm going to put I'll cut, create it. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time here. So this is the variant type. In this case, I have what I call the nominal inflection. Whether your options here have to do with, there are default options of course, but they have to do with what you set up in the grammar pane. So again, I'll show you how to do that in another video. But I set up two things that I created, verbal inflection and nominal inflection, in the grammar thing, and so I click on that. And what this basically means is that it's a genitive. It modifies another noun somehow. And you can see the stem here has A and double D. Double D is just an orthographic convention that I kind of liked. Or double consonants at the end, double voiced consonants. So to change that to nominal, you devoice the final consonant, and that's it. Which means it's a genitive relationship to the next nearest noun. And then you would add a suffix. This is a bound, this variant is a bound stem, or bound root, well, bound stem. So it can't stand on its own. It has to either be used in a compound or have a suffix. That's a Pyode grammar lesson you don't need to get into. But the point is, you can set up your own grammatical categories or use the ones that are there. I've done that here. I could also do another one. Shoot. Why is it not working? Okay, let's see, maybe I can... shoot. Sorry about that. Here's what I wanted to do. I don't want Alcad here, I just want Alcad. Alright, so I've got that, and then again, the variant type. Here's one that comes already in there, the irregularly inflected forms. I think there's a couple of them normally, but I have just reduced it to plural because that's kind of an irregularly inflected form, although it's not really irregular in Pyode. It's the normal way of making them, turning voice stop, well, turning any stop into its fricative counterpart. But there you are. So there's plural. Just adding the variant types. Okay, allomorphs, if phonology changes or something like that, or the form changes in a particular environment, you might want to use allomorphs. So I could do this, and then I could say, for example, it becomes let's say it becomes okay in a certain environment. So I could say it's a stem, and I can write what environments that happens in before a consonant, and you can edit the environments even. But this, I don't really want to have that. Alright, and then of course you can specify the grammatical category. Is it a noun? Is it a adjective, adverb, conjunction, demonstrative, interjection, phrase, pronoun, verb? You can even say, is it intransitive or transitive? What kind of a noun is it? I have these nouns set up because they inflect a little bit differently. But you could have things like common and proper nouns, I think, kind of whatever you want. And if you aren't sure, you can do that, or if you want to click on more, you want to specify, change your own, you can go there. Or if you want more options, so like determiner, you can click on that more. That's down at the bottom here. So there you go. And then you have this, the category I need is not shown in the catalog. Create a custom category. So you can do that. And that would take you to the grammar pane and all of that, which I'll show you. Okay, and then we have subentries, and this is a reference complex form for these other words that I kind of already showed you. So that's everything you find in the entry. You can see there's a lot of good customization. Actually, that's not everything you find in the entry, because you have this show hidden fields. If you want to see everything, absolutely everything, you can click on that, and there you go. And there are other... Whoa, what is happening here? Okay, so there's a lot more. It's an abstract form, what environments, the stem name, complex form type. Here's more about the etymology, note, literal meaning, bibliography, restrictions, the date created and the date modified. And reversal entries, those are things I'm not really sure what to do with. I've sent out a question asking about it, but I don't really know what it means or why you would want to use them. The definition, this would be something like a large body of water, not surrounded by land, or something along those lines. Grammatical info again, and you have the same options as elsewhere, like I already showed you. Complex forms. Let's see, what is that? So you can link it to the complex forms, although it's kind of already is right here down at the bottom. But then again, just a lot of things. Grammar note, if there's something a little weird about this one, you might want to note that. So just a lot of things that you can modify, and as much or as little information as you want. I'm going to click off the show hidden fields because I don't really need it. But there you are. And